Good morning. Welcome to Pope's Plates. If you're new to our channel, we're delighted to have you. If you're a frequent watcher, you're part of our family, so welcome. I'm making this morning
Pardon Charlie while he licks the door frame, I guess.
a recipe that's Cuban. It's black beans, and it's served actually, what makes it Cuban, is it's served over saffron rice with red onion and red wine vinegar on it. It was made famous by a young man that lived upstairs from me when I was in graduate school. And this is not a recipe that everybody loves, but we're crazy about it in our family. I'm cutting an onion. That's part of the base for this. The onion will saute along with some green pepper, garlic, and a pretty fair amount of olive oil. You use a half a cup of olive oil to get this started, and that soaks into the beans and that gives them flavor. I'm going to finish cutting this onion and get our green pepper ready. All right, that's good for the onion. I'm going to take this green pepper, try to get the sides off. We'll get rid of the seeds, membranes. We don't need that. Put that garbage bowl. And this will also be not a tiny chop, but fairly small, because these beans will cook for a long time. I actually cook them for about maybe 2 hours. The beans themselves were soaked overnight and have been drained so that they had a chance to plump up a little bit. Obviously, dry beans, you can cook them dry, but if they soak overnight, they cook much more easily and for a shorter period of time. This will cook up so that they don't have to be just tiny bites of pepper. Okay. Now the other thing I've got is garlic here. I'm going to take off just the little bitty ends of garlic and chop them a little bit, not much, because these two will cook. Now remember, we're going to add these after we have put the onion and the green pepper in to cook, so we don't want our garlic to burn. But I will chop this just a little bit so that we don't have giant chunks. Now, garlic overboard off the plate here. Okay, that looks like that ought to work. The other thing that I'm going to chop here while I'm at the counter is some ham. You add cubed ham. And so I've got a slice of ham. This happens to be honey ham. And I'm going to just cube this. I'm going to have to get some scissors to get this open, I think. My cutting board is getting pretty full here. I'm going to need to separate all of this out a little bit in order to get all of this ham cut. My cutting board is getting really full, so I'm going to cut the rest of this ham off camera, and we'll take our next step. We're ready now to get the beans going. I'm going to take the stopper out of this olive oil because a half a cup of olive oil takes a long time to pour through one of these little stoppers. All right. Now turn the heat on. I'm going to leave this pretty high until the heat comes up, and then we'll add the onion and the green pepper and cook them for a brief period of time until they're not quite translucent but a little tender. And Charlie seems to be willing to help with all of this morning. The oil is hot enough now to add the onion. Ooh, you can hear it sizzle. Good. And the green pepper. Trying not to get this into the stove itself. Now I'm leaving the garlic here on the board until we've had a chance to cook this for just a little bit. The onion and the green pepper have cooked a bit, and I'm going to add the garlic in now so that it's not going to burn. We're going to cook this until it's just a little fragrant. The guy that made this recipe first, his name was Bill. He and his roommate lived upstairs from my two roommates and me when we were in graduate school. He was actually a mountain goat, but he, in the disguise of a human being, I think, because he's the one that had us hiking the Appalachian Trail every weekend. He was quite a good cook. One of these days I'll have to share the story of our homemade beer with you, but this is not the time to do that. All right, we're going to add now the ham that we cut up. And I also am adding 1 slice of bacon that has been cut. That bacon gives it just a little bit of an interesting flavor, more smoky than the ham would add. So we've added the bacon in. We rinsed the beans well. We soaked them overnight. We rinsed all of that water off, and we've had them in the drainer now. We're going to add the black beans. Stir this around just a little bit. We're going to add 32 ounces of chicken broth. Now, you can also add water. You don't have to use the chicken broth. That's either way is fine. I have made it both ways. I had plenty of chicken broth, so I decided I would add that this morning. You're also going to add a bay leaf to this. And these are small, so I think I'm going to go ahead and add a couple. They're pieces of them. And you're going to add about a half teaspoon of salt. And I will taste this again as it's finished cooking. Now remember, this is going to cook a long time. These beans are going to take a while to cook and get really tender. So I'm going to let this come to a boil. We'll turn the heat down to a simmer, and it'll cook for at least 2 hours, maybe longer. Well, welcome back. Our beans have cooked a little over 2 hours, maybe 2 hours and 20 minutes. We have prepared the saffron rice, which is a packaged mix. It's not a sponsored, but we use the packaged mix because it's got a great flavor. What we're going to do is to strain some of the black beans. There's liquid here. One way to avoid that liquid is to mash some of the beans. It makes the sauce thicker, but I haven't done that. We like ours a little soupy. So I'm going to put the beans over the rice. Remember, I said we were going to use red onions, so I've got some chopped red onions that'll go over the top. To finish the dish, we put just a little dribble of olive oil over the top and some red wine vinegar. We like ours pretty vinegary, but you can use as much or as little as you like. This is a perfect dinner. With a side salad, even better. If you like this recipe, please let us know in the comments below. We invite you to subscribe to our channel. And until we see you again, let's keep cooking.